Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Rhodri Andrews, Special Projects Editor here at Travel Weekly. I'm here on the hottest day of the year on the sunny banks of the Thames. Well, we're all here today because Protected Trust Services is the headline sponsor of the Travel Weekly Guide to Homework in 2026. And over the last few weeks I've been pulling the guide together. I've read a lot about how there's more competition than ever before, the homeworking sector is more accessible than ever before. So Dan, I'd love to sort of hear your thoughts whether you've seen that shift in the sort of homeworking landscape over the last 12, 24 months and sort of how business is going for you.
It's really sort of getting busier and busier, especially with smaller independent groups setting up their own homeworking groups. I mean, Lucy's a great example of that, where they specialise in more of a luxury or high end and quality of service rather than just the big homeworking groups. And it's really good for those individuals that are coming into homeworking for the first time and want to have their arm put around them in a small group and be trained properly. And actually we've seen an awful lot of that shift in that direction, which I think it's great for the industry. I think it's really good.
Yeah, fantastic. And one of the other sort of talking points in travel is also, about how technology is accelerating at such a vast rate. AI is a huge topic across the industry as a whole. Obviously, I know PTS is a tech-first company. I guess how have you sort of leveraged sort of technology to sort of help all your members?
We're just spending money, really, to be honest with you. It's like the black hole. It just keeps going in. But we are getting there, and technology moves so fast. And these guys will tell you whenever they're always going, it needs to do this, it needs to do this, and everyone's got their own thing. It's just you just got to keep investing in. We've got a panel now of PTS members who are telling us what to build, and that's been a big improvement for us. Got a new CTO in, with buckets of experience, and that's been a big thing. But yeah, it's technology. You just spend money, keep your fingers crossed, and hope some of it works. And that's that's.
Can I just say as well, I used to work for PTS before setting up, and the system has come on leaps and bounds, and a lot of the things was feedback from members which they've really took on board. So
you look at other products.
Well done, Dan.
You look at other products. We do things like T-Profile. They do real specialist in one thing, and we're trying to get a bit of everything in there. And you've seen it change, but so has everybody else, and it's moving really fast. And that's a really good thing for all of us. That so much money is going into technology, and it makes us so much more efficient. And you guys. We spoke about technology, haven't we? So yeah,
it's really important, I think, the technology side of things, to make it streamlined, to make your job easier as an agent. It's already hard enough as it is. So to have a support of a technology system that thinks for you, it's a huge bonus.
We're not the only ones doing it. That's a really good thing. So the more people that invest in technology and the more options there are, it pushes all of us to spend more and to develop more. And that as an industry is really cool.
But obviously, Britt, you just mentioned there about how, having that importance of that technology. I guess all of you have been in the homeworking sector for varying lengths of time. I'll start with you, Paul, if that's okay, but I'll just sort of ask, feel free to chip in, sort of how have you all seen the homeworking sector evolve over, the number of years that you guys have been involved?
I think there's many more options out there now. A lot seem to be copies of each other, so it's going to be interesting to see how the homeworking sector tries to evolve, to do something different, to stand out. And I think now's that time where you may see companies offering something different, which is just not a copy of someone else. But it's a definite thing that people want to do, the freedom that it gives, the opportunity that it gives as well.
You do see a lot more of that. You see a lot more innovation now than you used to. And I think Paul's right. You can see it's on that cusp of changing. Just none of us know where it's going to change, but it's going to happen. And yeah. There's the basics of selling holidays will always be there, but the mechanics behind it, I think, are going to evolve.
For those of us that have been in travel for a while as well, is that when I first went into travel 2008 for a big company, it was very much office-based, hours, office, in, start, clock in, clock out. And I even remember queues out the door to coming in to see people on a Saturday. That then petered out. And now we've almost gone full circle in that you've still got that talent of people who can, you know, consultants or travel professionals who can sell and relate and build those relationships and have that expert knowledge. But there's no need now to go into, you know, a central location. And more, I think that home working ethos is going to grow and grow, even for the bigger companies.
Do you think it's going to move more home-based rather than high street?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Because, well, yeah, of course there'll be that high street aspect of it because you've got that brand recognition. I mean, if you're going to buy a coffee, you know, you could either make it at home or you can go to a branded, you know, place, your favorite place and all that. But I do think that there'll come a point, and there is with my sort of cadre of friends and colleagues, there's a lot of people who are actually going, I don't need to, I've got my expertise, you know, I know how to do it, really do know how to do it, and I know my stuff, and I don't want to go into an office anymore. So I want to take that experience and actually have it starting working for me. I mean, if you've got kids or, you know, you just getting on a train in and out of town and whatever it may be. So I think that for even for the bigger companies may well have to be more flexible with that. But I can only see it growing. I can only see it growing, and as it should.
And Lucy, obviously, you know, Simon's just mentioned about, you know, the flexibility of home base. Obviously, you were in a high street role before this.
Yeah.
How have you, you know, how was that transformation been for you and the positives you've sort of gleaned from that?
Yeah, well, it was a long time ago. So I worked on the high street in 1998 for sort of the first 5 or 6 years of my travel agent life. And it was so different then because there wasn't social media as, you know, as an advertising tool. And then as home working began, it went from being referrals for networking to then social media. And I do feel like it's almost going back to referrals and networking again, rather than just social media. Yeah. Because there's too many home working agents out there now who are doing the same offers or doing the same deals. Yeah. That you can build better customer relationships doing networking. And I do actually believe having appointments face-to-face as well as home working. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you have to have an office, but a coffee shop appointment just for that initial, you know, engagement with the customer.
It's about trust, isn't it? And that's one of the big things that I think with home working you get, because you start off with your sort of, you know, your local group and your friends, family, and then it grows and then referrals. But trust is such a key thing in any form of travel. And you know, and it's great. AI is fantastic and ChatGPT is fantastic, but do you actually, you know, ChatGPT hasn't set foot in wherever it may be in the, you know, Shinjuku area of Tokyo, for example. But if you've got somebody who has, and you can build that trust, then it sort of doesn't really matter where they are, because you're gonna have that faith in that particular person, as it were.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't necessarily think home working will grow, obviously, because it's just so accessible now. But I do still feel like there will be that element of face-to-face. Yeah. I don't think that will be truly lost.
No, it won't be removed completely.
No, I don't think it will be.
Yeah. Well,
it won't be the same.
Well, yeah, that's it. Look, we set up Pinch solely from a home working background. That's all I know. So I've not done retail. I've not worked in a store. I've not come from that background. So all we know is home working. So when we set up the tour operator side of it, we brought that ethos into that. We didn't want a storefront. We didn't want staff to be sitting in a store waiting for people to walk in. Yeah. So all of our employed staff through Pinch, the tour operator, are home workers, and they're all hybrid, and they work different times, different shifts, and they have the flexibility to know, as long as the phones are covered and that people are there to cover the calls and the emails that come through and the bookings, we can be as flexible as they need us to be. So we've got mums that need to work mornings, they can go and do the school runs in the afternoons, they'll come back, they'll work slightly in the evenings, and it's just so flexible. I mean, I couldn't imagine starting in travel not having that flexibility that I had through having my daughter, health conditions that I had, COVID that we had at the time. You know, all of that allowed us to continue our business where stores were closing. Throughout COVID, we were open, servicing our clients, yes, doing it from home, but we naturally fell into that, or didn't even fall into it. That was our daily routine. So we didn't have to become flexible. We continued as was our normal BAU working day, whereas retail stores or people working not from home working had to get used to that, and I think that's what changed the landscape quite significantly.
Yeah.
So this is why there's lots more home working opportunities, companies popping up, all offering and vying for different things. Like you said, it would be really interesting to see how they can stand out a little bit more and become a little bit more niche and not be a carbon copy of each other, like be different. And also collaboration. I feel like this very competitive market, like we can all work together, like we all work in the same lane, but actually, you know, we could collaborate. We went up for the same award together before, but we've been friends through that. It doesn't have to be, oh, that home working company, stay away from them because they're our competition. So that would be nice to see a bit more inclusiveness coming into the industry. But it's definitely an exciting part of travel for sure.
I think there's a great opportunity to bring in talent that otherwise you wouldn't reach. So Marvelous Escapes as well, we're a fully remote company, and we've been able to recruit people from the north, Northern Ireland, the south, London, and we do the same with the flexible working. And I think that enables people to bring the best version of themselves to work. And that's always what I say, you know, come in the best version of yourself. So if you've woke up and it's poured down with rain and you need that hour flexible, we work together. Someone will be at home, again, as long as clients are serviced, but that home working structure enables you to do that.
Yeah.
And Britt sort of touched upon it there again about sort of specialising in a niche. And obviously, Simon, you're a bit of a cruise specialist, and Paul, you obviously specialise in rail holidays. How has that? Have you found that sort of really helps accelerate your business? Have you found that sort of clients really value that sort of intricate knowledge?
I think it's important. Because I'm obviously quite new to. Obviously, I've been in travel for about the best part of 20 odd years, but working for obviously smaller or bigger firms. So I've only been really doing this for a year, 6 months or so since PTS. But what I've found is that there's two sides to my mindset. One side is if anyone wants anything, I'll do it, and then the other side is actually that's not really what I want to be doing. And it's interesting how now that I'm sort of doing it for myself, I have the right to sort of say that's not really my direction I want to go in. I can help you and I can support you and maybe even point you in the right direction. But if it's not going to produce the kind of level of you know, maybe even revenue, or it's not going to take us in the direction that we want to focus on, I think it's you know, I'm sort of ending up with the sort of thing is the more tailored you are, the more focused you are, the more niche you are, and you have to keep reminding yourself, the better, I think, personally. That's just my take on it, is to just be as focused as possible and niche as possible.
I think you do tend to find that people become more niche, more specialised, whether it's customer service or whether it's just the brand that you are, or the product, whether it's just cruise. They're the ones that really, they grow really and are pretty successful. So being niche is work.
A good plug for PTS on that point is they do allow you to be super niche, and that's the one thing that I absolutely love about PTS. We can be niche. We can. I mean, I started the industry just doing honeymoons. I was very driven on a niche, and I think it's really important. And then moving over to Pinch, allowing us to have our atoll, we're allowed to go and direct contract if we want to, work with the DMCs. They give us currency. Like, I've never known flexibility like it, and I think there are companies out there that will say, yes, you can have this, and yes, you can do that. And then when you get into them, and I've been across a few, it's not as clean cut as you think it is. Whereas truly at PTS, you can totally niche into wherever you want to go, and they'll support that as well, which is super refreshing.
I think that's our niche, but we don't we don't do all the training. You know, we don't really do the hand holding, we don't do the marketing. So if that's what you want, we're probably not the right place. Yeah. And I think that's the same for being a travel agent. You've got to find your place a little bit, stick your flag in the sand and go, that's what we're going to try and know.
It's a mass market out there, so if you can know your lane, it's certainly helpful in your journey when you start. Stay in your lane.
Obviously, we've heard a lot about the challenge, the positive story about being a home worker. Obviously, what are some of the challenges? Lucy, I'll come to you first.
Overworking.
Yeah.
So obviously you're at home. There's many nights I'm sat there at midnight with a glass of wine and my laptop still working because I feel like I'm trying to catch up, but I have to be strict. And anyone who starts in home working has to try and set their own hours. Yeah. Obviously you've got flexibility, but don't overwork yourself because you end up well, you know, you're going to end up just not enjoying your life, are you? You know.
You looked at me then. I was up till half past one. I was up till half past one last night.
Because
But
I bet
for the same
you've
reason. Because
recently set up as well, so I know the feeling. It's almost like you don't want to miss out on something.
You don't.
But they will wait for you.
But there's the other side of it as well, which is that you just want to make sure you're going not just the extra mile, the extra 10 miles.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's so, as you say, there's so much competition out there, and as we're starting out, you know, the bookings aren't flooding in. There's some really nice ones coming in,
Yeah.
but you want to really make sure when they do come in, you really nurture them and do little things like putting together the itinerary, you know, and doing those little, choosing the pictures. You did that, all of that time, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
I love it because it's my thing. It's I'm in control of it. I don't have to sort of cross-check it with somebody else. By the same token, that means I have to take responsibility for everything, which again is so empowering. I just feel like since I've been doing this, I feel like I've been walking taller, genuinely, after 20 odd years of working for other people and making other people a lot of money actually. But nonetheless, you know, that now I feel like I'm walking tall, and it's been like a breath of fresh air.
But you can make that difference because you're the one handling everything.
Yeah.
Whereas before you'd maybe be booking something, it'll go to an admin team, then they will pass it on. Whereas
Or you can only
you're
book certain
doing it-
things.
Yeah.
You can only book certain, or you
restricted.
can't use that supplier.
Yeah.
So I have a sales coaching background as well, because I was sales coaching the previous, and I had my own company of sales coaching, particularly focused on travel companies. This isn't a pitch, by the way, but well, sort of, everything's a pitch. Everything's a pitch, mate. Everything's a pitch. But nonetheless, so I've been, the couple of the companies I've worked for, I've coached. I now I can just go, I just want to work with them. I trust them. They're brilliant what they do. Got another contract from a supplier coming in on Friday, just because I've got an inquiry, and I'm like, yeah, it's just like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it is. And I think if you treat your customers well, they're going to always come
Look
back.
after them, they'll look
You
after you.
don't always want to get you want new business, but you need to look after your true customers first, your real,
Absolutely.
you know, the ones that are booking with you all the time. And when you can get them to come back, then you've done
worked
your job right.
And you've worked in retail. You know what it's like when you were in the
yeah.
shop and people would actually come in and, when are you working? Oh, I'm working on Friday.
up
Right,
some
well,
days.
I'm coming in to see
Yeah.
you. You're even though you work for a bigger firm, they came in specifically to see you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
I think the question or challenges is an interesting one, and the thing that comes to mind is you have to understand how your team operate and the personalities within the team, because a lot of the time you're communicating via Teams or Slack, and it's very easy to misinterpret maybe how someone has come across. You know, my team has said, Paul's in a bad mood this morning, and it's like, had you been in the office, if I reply, yeah, it's that's fine. But just understanding each other and just making sure that although there's a lot of written communication, that you don't misunderstand something.
And I think if you're doing this, a lot of people are doing this solus, like yourself, Simon. Like my background is I've got a team with me, and I did start on my own. So if you are doing it on your own, is to make sure you've got that support network, be that at home, be that through friends. I think leaning back onto what you said, setting times, don't work till 12, 1 o'clock every single day. Yes, we want that client. Yes, we want to go above and beyond. But one of the things that I learned really quickly on was burnout hits hard and it hits quick.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that totally on your own, this does become, it's an incredible industry. I'm the most grateful for being in it, but it's a hard industry. It's competitive. And if you're doing that constantly on your own, it will soon become something that you don't enjoy. And that's, I think, where maybe early businesses in their early infancy is probably where they might fall foul, and maybe they give up too soon, or it doesn't quite work for them, is because actually they've either done too much or not enough. So it's finding that balance of where that sits.
It's interesting as well, talking about the challenges. You know, I'm starting out. So yes, I've made bookings for people for 2027, and we know where the revenue is going to come from that. So, you know, that patience and that sort of that gap when you start of basically paying the bills, quite if nothing else. You know, that requires patience and sort of, you know,
business
faith.
plan, cash flow.
Cash
Think
flow,
about it all.
Exactly. So that side of it is one of the challenges. But then obviously once it kicks in.
Someone did a really good analogy for me the other day. They said, year 1 you crawl, year 2 you walk, year 3 you run. And I was like,
Yeah, that's so
I love
true.
that. That is so true. And by the 3rd year, that's exactly how you feel. So in that 1st year, it is like learning to crawl, and you're pulling yourself along, and at times you're like, this is awful. Then you walk it, then you're walking, and then you're running. So I thought that was a great analogy.
I've been on the phone so many times, like if I make a booking or take a payment, and I'm like, I'm on the phone, I'll phone India or whoever, and I'm like, have I pressed the right buttons? I know I pressed the right, but you have to make sure that I've done. I don't want to,
So
you know,
do you know
I
what?
don't want to
think-
screw up.
I
you
think
know.
sometimes people do it just because they want to talk to somebody else. as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Because
They're so
it can
helpful
be-
as well. You've got a great team. You really have got a great
Thank
team.
you.
I
And
thought I
it-
had quite a few Zooms with you before I started, didn't I? I quite enjoyed our little coffees.
didn't we?
did, yeah. But I love that.
but
Like,
you
it's
do-
so inclusive.
It is a you talk about one of the difficulties. I think one of the people are at home. It can be lonely,
So lonely.
and like Lucy said, and all these guys, if you ask them, they're doing way more than 40 hours a week, and doing stuff like this and listening to other people that are actually saying, actually, you need to calm it down.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You're doing
You won't, in 5 years' time, you won't be any worse off. Just
Yeah.
that's the thing. You really look after yourself. I would say is an important thing, and it is.
Hugely important.
And people who get into travel, they do it because they love travel and they love people. And what they tend to do is become real giving. They don't want to let anyone down. They want to do this for this person. They want that for this person. Actually, sometimes you do have to say no.
Yeah.
And really look after yourself. And I think that's, I would say, is important.
I think you can be quite controlling as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know,
Liz.
you could. It's hard to let
Let
things go. You'll understand with other home workers, and it's hard to almost let other people do things for you.
Or when you do, it's never quite done to what you would
yeah,
want it done. And then you overwork yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the same qualities. They're a little bit controlling.
Tick. So what do you need?
That
Tick,
goes
tick,
after
tick.
you, don't you? And if I'm not mistaken, I think you've all had previous sales experience. Some of you have been in the industry before you started your homeworking journey, and some of you haven't. Do you think that's a really key ingredient to make your homeworking business a real success, or do you think it's just a nice bonus?
For me, I would say it is really important. Being told no is a hard thing. If you've worked in hospitality or you've worked in like a non-facing sales role, let's say, and then to go and spend hours doing something and then someone says to you no or ghosts you, that's quite a thick skin you need to build up, and that takes time. So I think it's one of probably the harder things in our job is when we don't convert those bookings after all the hard work.
Yeah.
So I think having some form of sales experience, and that doesn't need to be account management or really corporate hardcore sales or sales manager, just something where you've been told no before, because it will build up that resilience. And I think you see things differently when you work in sales. You can identify buying signals, you can identify where that customer is their journey, you're profiling better, you know where to ask questions, how to ask those questions. So for me, I come from a sales background, and it's testament to how well I think I've done in business. So I think it's important.
I agree with you. I think it does help. I mean, I used to be an actor, so let's not talk about rejection. I mean, the amount of no's I've had, whether it's doing some weird advert for selling a crisp,
Or
and you
being
have
in
to,
a James Bond movie.
or being in a James. I didn't. I got that. So that's my that's my 12 seconds of fame. But no. But I think that when I was doing the sales coaching and building that kind of rapport with clients is so important. One of the biggest tips that I've always had, and when I was coaching other people, and even when I was selling myself, is that, when you create that wonderful little bubble of beauty that you've got, you have wonderful little trip that you put together, it ticks all their boxes. The last thing you should do is send an email, because A, you don't know if they're going to read it, B, you don't know who they're going to show it to, and you're not there for when they do read it and they have a question. So it was always one of those things, I just need 5 minutes for your time. That's what I always used to say. It's 5 minutes, knowing that 5 minutes can go into an hour if they're interested, but at least then you can present it live, and then you can say, what do you think? Or even, how would you like to book? How many people say that? How would you like to pay for that?
Wow.
Why not? Because then they'll tell you if they don't want to book it.
Close the sale.
You've got to close the sale. But I mean, if you don't ask, we've done all this work, and that's another big thing that people do, is they do all this work and then they send it out and then they said, I've done my work. So no, you haven't. You've done most of your work. But the key part of it is, how would you like to pay for that? I need a 10% deposit or whatever it may be. And then if they don't want to, they'll tell you. And then you can deal with it, because then you're in the room with them, effectively, metaphorically, on the phone or on a Zoom, and then you can say, well, okay, what can we change? We can change this, that, and the other, and then you've got a chance.
People
to move
forget
forward.
when you're a home worker, you're you're a chief marketeer, you're a chief salesperson, you're a head of admin. You're like you're the accounts manager as well. You are everything. So you've got to realise you're not going to do everything perfectly. Sometimes you've just got to do enough of everything to make it right. When you set up as a home worker, all your friends won't book with you.
No.
It's okay. Everything doesn't have to be perfect all the time, and you get
Not talking to that friend anymore.
Cross that one off the Christmas card list.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what you go on. Sorry, but it's interesting what you said as well. Is that what you both said is about the marketing side of it. That's not one of my strong points, is marketing, but I'm having to learn it but I don't want to be somewhere else where somebody else is doing the marketing for me. There's plenty of things, and on the algorithms keep popping up about, virtual whatever, this, that, and the other. But actually, I want to have it coming from this voice, as it were. And so, yeah, I'll learn that. There's other stuff that I feel very confident about, and other stuff that I'm learning. And that's part of, although it's a challenge, it's part of a challenge that I enjoy because I'm learning. And listen, we all like to learn, don't we? Hopefully we're all going to be learning forever, but it's not something that I can just sort of,
Well, a little plug for Pinch there. Work with really good suppliers and they'll help with your marketing collateral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get your key suppliers and they'll do that for you. They'll take that pain away. So there's all little tricks you'll learn along the way, and you'll find your feet, and you'll find
later.
Yeah, we will chat later. That's my card. We have.
Right, so I'd love to bring you into the next question, Dan. So I'll ask everyone the same question if we can go along the line, but what's the sort of one thing you'd love to see change about the industry or the home working sector in general, or you'd like to see introduced?
Probably make it slightly less tribal. We'll get together. Frustrates me when we don't speak to government as one unit. One company will go and say one thing and another, and actually we've all got exactly the same problems that need to be addressed. And if we could all talk with one voice, I think that'd be great. And I think that's the powers above. Need to talk to each other and not be so self-interest. So that for me would be the biggest thing. I think make a long-term difference. And what Paul said, the industry's going to change. And when it does, it'd be really nice if we as a group were changing with it. So that would be my thing, I think.
Right, Paul?
Good question. I'd like to see a little bit more governance. I think it's very easy to go into home working, but it is a career, and I think we are professionals within the industry. So yes, it's open to everyone, and that's fantastic. But I think the myth of being able to come in and do it as a part-time job whilst you're on holiday and put 2 hours in a week is not really there, and it devalues the qualified people within the industry.
I wish I'd said that. I agree. Yeah, so he's right, 100% right. People who do this, the knowledge they have about travel is unbelievable, and they are real professionals. I really agree with that. Yeah.
Next, you, Britt.
Be more collaborative. We're not all each other's competition. I think there's so much knowledge amongst us. I think it leans onto what you're saying about leadership. So the leaders in their companies stand up, be the voice. One voice is 10,000 voices is stronger than one voice, and we can all work together. What I might do might not be what you do, but we can, share best practices. And I think if we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, it will be a better industry as a whole.
That's some good message. How about you, Lucy?
Well, I was going to say exactly what Paul said, so I'm just going to elaborate slightly. It isn't a side hustle, and it really, as someone who's been in the industry so long and puts my heart and soul and hours into it, it is frustrating when people say they're doing a side hustle. And I do, like Paul said, I do wish it was more governed and checked more, that some of these companies are not just taking anybody on. But I don't know if that will change. I think it's just here to stay. So maybe there needs to be certain things put in place to make sure that they are providing the best service for their customers. Because at the end of the day, it's not us that suffer, it's the customer.
Yeah.
But it gives us all a bad reputation. If there's another news article about something or another documentary about something, no names to be said, then it does make it harder. We're built on our reputation. Clients buy from us because we're agents and we're professional and we're experts. But when one of the objectives is, am I safe because I've heard this in the newspaper, or this has happened, or that's happened. That's an objective a hurdle we really don't need to try and overcome.
Yeah, and that only really affects home workers.
Yes,
because it doesn't affect the high street and the big tour ops as such, because they can almost go in and see them.
Yeah.
So I do think something needs to change. I don't know what, but
I don't know how.
or how.
Yeah. Yeah. And finally, you, Simon.
Oh God, everything that they said. I mean, I really do respect that notion of governance. To actually go into this as a side hustle is like putting one foot out the door. And actually, if you're saying one foot out the door and therefore somehow thinking that you're going to be successful, it's like, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. But if it doesn't work a year's time, that person's not going to have their holiday. And I agree with all of you here that actually more stringent checks on who you are, what you're doing, and accountability for what you're doing, and that should move into AI, because at the moment people can. I saw something in the coming down on the news. They were saying that there's an influencer who spends £8,000 a month or something and books everything through ChatGPT. That in itself is a challenge to everybody, because there's no comeback. If something goes wrong, it's not ATOL protected, it's not ABSA, it's not protected. Things go wrong. If you did that as a person, as an individual, you did that tomorrow, and you turn up and the hotel doesn't actually exist because it's turned into a factory selling peanuts, then you've got nowhere to turn to. So there should be more stringent checks, and I would be more than happy to actually jump through those hoops to demonstrate or get a certificate, to be, it's not just ATOL, but it's more than that. It's like a certificate of authenticity, whether that be customer care, whether that be experience, whether that be the niche, whatever that is. I think that would be
When
really
something goes wrong in travel, which it does every year, whether it's ash clouds, financial crisis, wars, terrorism attacks, COVID, Gulf, there's always something goes wrong. The airline's going bust. The people who deal with it are the agents. They are the professionals. They're the ones that deal with the customers. They rebook, they cancel, they book things in the future. I think making that more of a recognised profession, I think would be a really good thing, because it's bloody hard. And it's long hours, and I think it should be. I think you're right. I think recognising that would be a brilliant thing. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, I'd love to chat to you guys all day, because this has been fascinating, and I love to hear about this home working sphere that I'm not a part of, but it just sounds absolutely brilliant. But we're sort of nearly out of time, so there'll be people watching this who are sort of sitting on the fence, deciding whether the sort of home working route is for them. So I'd love to finish off with one sort of your golden nugget of advice for those who are trying to decide whether it's the right path for them to take. Feel free to chip in as well, Dan. But if we can start with you, Simon, and we'll go along the line.
I would just say, don't wait for tomorrow. Think about yesterday. Do it. If you're thinking about doing it, it means you want to do it. If you want to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Jump in.
Brilliant.
Jump in. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. Lucy?
I'd say have patience. Don't get disheartened when everyone doesn't book with you to start with. It will happen. Gradually, you'll get these brilliant customers and they will book with you. So just have lots of patience.
Yeah.
Over to you, Britt.
Niche. Spend some time doing some research. Don't try and sell the world. It's too big. Find that niche. Stay in your lane.
Paul?
Take your time, review your options, and think about what fits today. Will it fit in 2-3 years' time? And just make sure whatever you're getting into fit your long-term vision.
Brilliant. Dan?
I'm not a travel agent. I've got no idea. The only thing I would say, if our general rule of business is, don't worry too much about making the odd mistake. Life doesn't have to be perfect, and it's okay. So yeah, just what these guys have, best advice you'll get.
Well, I think that's a great way to end this sort of session, talking about sort of the life of a home worker essentially. So I think there's a lot of great takeaways for people watching, whether they're just about to start their home working journey or trying to see how they take their business to the next level. And if you want more great insights like this, then keep an eye out for Travel Weekly's Guide to Home Working 2026, which is out in the July 9th issue of Travel Weekly, where we'll feature lots of really great articles about AI, social media, specialising in a niche as we've heard today. And we also have their own sort of dedicated digital website, which is travelweekly.co.uk/homeworking-guide. But in the meantime, thank you very much, Dan, Paul, Britt, Lucy and Simon for joining me. It's been great chatting to you. And yeah, hopefully see you all soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Everyone's
Really
brilliant.
enjoyed it. Thank you.